Hello friends, hello and welcome back to my channel where we talk a lot about tools, tips and tricks and things that you can do with your computer. Of late I've been talking about a lot of database systems and database related tools, and one thing led to another, and the topic of the very recently becoming very famous Power BI systems came into picture. I thought, why not? There are a lot of tips and tricks. There are a lot of tools that are not very intuitive, not very handy when it comes to Power BI. And again, there's a lot of focus on the Power BI desktop nowadays. So I thought, why not take a look at things that are not really into the right focus, and people I have seen are kind of not getting the right information about it. So, uh, just a quick introduction. Both Power BI and Power BI is a desktop and Power BI report builder. They are Power BI tools, but most commonly known among everything today is the Power BI desktop, and it's a nice tool to build heavy visualizations, to make charts and all that. But again, if you're a person like me, you would not want extremely detailed charts. Rather, you want plain and simple data, right? Data representation reports. What do you want to do? So I thought, why not focus on the Power BI report builder, which is kind of not that famous, underappreciated, and I would say for me, or person like me who likes to see the numbers right in front, reports right in front, this becomes a much simple, less time invasive and easy way of getting your reports done, right? In my first video, I do not really want to venture into all the tips and tricks. It's just going to be an introduction, right? My idea is that I don't want to run a classroom lecture kind of a situation. So what I'm going to do is, in the first video, I'm going to try and show you the basic connection, how you can get it done quick, right? And then in consecutive videos, I can talk more about special tips and tricks, like what you can do very quickly to get some results. There are things that sometimes people try to go work around because just they don't know about it, right? All right, so let's begin. I just have a simple Power BI report builder open in front of me. I would just like to go through the interface very quickly in front of you. So you have very well the menu ribbon on the top. I don't want to, we will go through each and every ribbon items as we actually venture into every detail of this, right? Now, the purpose or the sole purpose of Power BI Report Builder is to create paginated web reports, right? It's basically how to take data, convert it into some form of table that can be represented in terms of web pages. That's the whole idea, right? So all the toolbars here is basically related to making such charts and simple charts and tables, right? And then most of the report or the data controls are here on the left side, and the rest of it, as we talk, I'll try to go through everything as we talk. Now the center work center here that you see basically has the design of the page. This is how it opens up. It comes up as a small page. This generally I've seen people create seeing this as a small page. Now if you want more space, you would want to pull it down. Now, if you see, I'm pulling down the footer dotted line, not the page. If I pull down the page, then what happens, if you see, is the footer space actually gets elongated, not the workspace, the main page. So I don't want to do that. I want to pull down the footer so I get a bigger page to work with. If you want, you can make this go bigger on this side too, right? Now I don't want to focus on the view and the fancy part of it. In the first video, I just want to focus on getting the data connected and bringing the data front quickly and in less amount of time, right? So if you have to connect the data, if you see my previous videos on ODBC, I have used this very tool to actually connect through ODBC to MySQL database. What I'm going to do here is I'll go to ODBC and build the ODBC connection here, select the MySQL DSN, provide the password, and then test the connection here. Connection is successful. Do OK. So here if you see, this is the dialog box that belongs to Power BI. Do test connection again. Connection is successful, and I'm just going to click OK. Now once you click OK, Power BI is going to provide you a query field, right? A place where you can build the query. Now you can use query designer, or you can do many things. Now I don't want to get into the details of an SQL coaching here, so I'm going to keep this very simple and as simple as it actually exists. So I'm just going to get everything from the default table that comes with MySQL. When you install MySQL, there is a world database installed, and that practically gets the the city table within it. So I'm using the city table and all the columns inside it to show you the city table. Now this is MySQL Workbench. If you see, there's a world database that comes with a city table, and this is the form of city table, the number of columns that are there. Let me keep it on one side, and I'll show you when you are connected and you have run the query. This is how it basically looks on the left side. You have the data source. The data source, if you go to data source properties, it opens that window. If you remember, we just populated. And then the data sets have the, because I did select star, basically it imported all the columns, as you can see here, right? All the columns from the city table. Now you have the data imported in here, you have the data source connected, you are ready to work, ready to make the report, your first report. I want to keep it simple for the first report, so I'm just going to import a table here. Go to insert menu, go to table. The table wizard is nice, I like it, but sometimes it gets complicated for something very simple. So I'm really fan of using the insert table here. If you do insert table, it is going to provide you by default a 3-column table, right? And it's simple, it's intuitive, it's nice. I'll tell you why. Okay, now if I go to this 3-column table, now because you have inserted one data source, it has already connected to that data source. This table actually is connected to that data source. If you click, now if you see, there are a few sections of this table. In a Power BI report builder, a table is part of a data region. Now I will go to details of all these things in my future videos, but for the first video, just in very short, everything in one table is under one data region. Now if you are in one data region, it is already connected to the to a data source. There is a possibility to connect to multiple data sets from the same data source, but it has to be from the same data source, right? So what is this called? It's called a tablex. Any object that you actually select in Power BI report builder, one thing that I have seen is people doing this for setting the properties. They go here and then they select the properties. You get a lot of properties that you can select here in the pop-up dialog box, but I generally don't prefer that. My suggestion is go to the view menu, select properties here, and on the right side you get a properties frame. This has much higher level of control than that pop-up dialog box that you get. This can provide you many more details that are under your control. I'll try to go through as much as possible. That is part of my tips and tricks as and when we proceed with further videos. For now, just to know that there are properties that you can control for this. Now currently I have selected the entire table, which is named as table x1, right, by default, and that is why the properties is coming up. You can see this properties window keep changing as and when I select different boxes. So there is our text. The table is every row and column, every cell is treated as a separate text box, right? The three lines in front that you see are the rows, the way differently they are treated. The header row does not have those three lines, and then you have these three lines here, right? I'll again talk about these details, these in detail in my future videos. But for now, what you need to know is when you're seeing these three lines on the row, on the left side of the row, what it means is that these rows will be, there will be multiple entries of these rows based on the data that is getting imported. Of course, if there is only one row in the database, you will have one row here. But again, if you have multiple rows, this row, the white row here, is going to get replicated, whereas this row is not going to get replicated. This row will be a single header row. Now the easiest way of populating a table for today, what we'll consider is, I'm just going to select what I need, what field I need to be shown in the first column. Let's say name. If I select the name, you see the header automatically gets populated with the name from the database table, right? Country code, and let's say population, right? Now, what if I wanted a fourth column, right? It's very simple. It's like just an Excel sheet, right? So you select the column, do insert column, you do left or right, wherever you want it, and then you select the district here. So now you have 4 columns, right? And you see the header is populated automatically based on the data from the table. The header row though is a simple text box. So if I wanted to change it, I can type anything in here and this will start showing up, right? So it's a simple text box. You can change it to make it look the way you want it to look. Okay. Country code, district, population. So let's try to keep it simple. Name it table day 1. Now to see this as a report, all you need to do is go to home and click run. And there you go, right? So this is, now the reason it is called as paginated report is basically you can go here. If you see there are pages, and you can keep doing next page, and you will see that you can scroll through pages, and this is how basically it actually gets built as a website or a web page that goes up, that you can publish on your Power BI server, right? You can export this report multiple forms. There are many ways to export all kind of every possible documentation format I know of, right? Now if you want to go back, you can again go back from design to design mode, change anything and everything, and let's say I want to add the ID too. I can do an insert column on the left and just add the ID. Run this again, and you can see the ID come up front, right? So thank you guys. I just wanted to show you guys how to connect in this video. In my next video, I will talk about the table grouping, how you want to group these tables, the rows, to show values together, to combine values, to do the subtotals or totals, and how you actually represent that data. So next video, please look forward to that, and I'll try to focus on further enhancements of the table and grouping. Thank you. Bye bye for now.